Welcome to Cocktails in the Organic Aisle, an open table discussion where three natural moms, Christy, Jody, and Rachel, come together to dish out their unique recipe for health and wellness while living in a busy, conventional world. Grab a cocktail, pull up a chair, and let's chat.
Welcome to another episode of Cocktails in the Organic Aisle. Cheers!
Cheers!
Did you know that your biggest organ is our skin? So obviously, it's very important to take care of it. So we are going to talk, Rachel today is going to talk about just that, how to take care of your skin and just how important it is to do so.
Yes, so it definitely is our biggest organ, and it's something that we really, do need to take care of, but it's not just something that protects us like our innards from the outside world. It also is a detoxification system. It also is an alert system. So many times you see you're in a stressful situation and you get a breakout, or you come into contact with something that you're allergic to and you get hives, or you break out in like a rash or something. Or your body will become red and say, hey, you got to get out of the sun. This is too much. So I think kind of using your body as a map is super important. And especially during COVID times, I saw major breakouts in my skin, and I was like, what in the heck is going on?
Yeah.
But little did I know I was just taking on all of the stress of the world, and it was coming out and as breakouts.
So I love when you have that one important thing that you're looking forward to, and all of a sudden you wake up and a big zit is right there or something.
Yeah.
Go on.
Yeah.
Put some stuff.
And
Mine's always right here.
My stress is here. I wrecked my car a couple weeks ago, and I still have some acne down there.
Yeah.
Little
Which
bit of
goes to
stress.
show that it doesn't just happen. There's a reason that we get acne and pimples. Growing up, it was just I'm just getting acne. Never thought to think, what's causing this?
Right.
Yeah.
It's just something that's happening.
Yeah.
Right.
And through Garden of Eten, we do have a private Facebook group where people will connect on there. We'll ask for recipes or, natural health advice, and we share science and new articles and studies and new products that we have. But something that I get a lot is, oh no, Rachel, my skin is breaking out. What do I do? What should I use? And it's okay, before you go out and you buy a million products, let's look at the things that you can change easily. One of those is, okay, well, how much water are you drinking?
Right, that's huge.
And if you're drinking water, is it clean water? Tap water is not clean water. So that is one thing to look at. Are you getting a lot of rest? That's another thing. Your skin is constantly rejuvenating itself. And if you're not allowing proper rest, that's not going to happen. Also, you need nutrients. What are you eating? Are you eating super bad, saturated fats,
processed
sugar,
foods?
Yeah.
What chemicals are in your food? Even if you're eating fruits and vegetables, are you eating local farmed, biologically, farmed food, organic food that doesn't have a ton of chemicals on it?
Right.
That stuff, it goes in your body and it needs to come out, and it's going to find a way to come out. Are you stressed? Then after all of these things that are normal life situation, kind of I could change these things, then it's okay, well, what kind of products are you using? There are, when I was doing research for this podcast, I found that the EU has banned more than 1,300 chemicals, and the US, so I guess it's our FDA, has only banned 11.
Yeah.
11!
It's amazing.
Yeah, and
That
actually,
is insane.
There was an article this week on CNN that came out saying there was several different agencies. The EWG was one of them, saying how the FDA needs to do more because they're supposed to be protecting us from all of these chemicals, and so many people just blindly trust them that everything is safe, that they approve to be on the market, and that is so not true.
Well, and the thing that even more that's crap is these companies have products for US and they have the same product with way less ingredients or better ingredients for everywhere else. And it's why? Why are we not following and taking care of that?
Yeah, and I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about the chemicals that are being used in skincare, but I'm not going to try to botch all of these names,
Right.
but some of these chemicals are neurotoxins. Some of these chemicals totally mess up your endocrine system, which will in turn mess with hormones. Look at the uptick of infertility issues and such like that. There are things that are known carcinogens that they're using, things that are animal byproducts. Like nobody wants that.
Right.
Nobody wants, I just got chills. Like, and then there are like different chemicals that will change your DNA. So thinking about what you're just putting on top of your skin is like super important. Obviously what goes in your body is always important too, but I don't think it's not just it's not surfacey,
Well, right, because it absorbs into your skin, which I know some people think that's a myth, that what you put on your skin stays on your skin. But can you speak to that a bit? Because I know that's not true. If you want to.
Yeah, I always learned, like in my holistic studies, that within like 30 seconds, what you're putting on your skin is going into your bloodstream. It's getting absorbed through your pores, through your like little lesions, through your hair follicles, and it's getting into your body. I could see where people think that it just stays topically, but there are a lot of products that work really well for people, like topical hemp products, like CBD products that relieve pain. If it doesn't go into your skin, it doesn't work. Even essential oils, like some people use those and find great, success, but those are like topical. But then there are, big companies that we shall not name that have been sued billions and billions of dollars for chemicals that have caused cancer just from people accidentally spraying themselves or splashing on themselves, which is also topical. And the cancer is popping up not just in that area, it's like a full body thing. So no matter what, it's kind of moving.
Well, and something I think is interesting too, it's like some people look at it like it's not a big deal. And again, you have to decide what's best for you and your family. But if you say your foundation has this chemical, but then your lotion has this chemical. So it's not that you're just using one product. It's the overexposure with how many products do people use, even your cleaning supplies or things that are in your air or, your detergent. I know you're gonna talk about that, but so it's your makeup, it's all that, all of that in one day over time, over and over and over again. So, if you look at the one product and say, oh, well, it doesn't have a whole lot in it, it's not going to hurt me. Okay, well, what about that times however many other things you're using?
Well, and combining, they'll say, well, this is safe, but have they ever tested it with this other ingredient that we're also using? Because there could be a bad reaction, which thus causes skin issues or other issues. And they can't test everything together, so that's a huge issue.
Yeah. And so I think there was an article that came out this January talking about sunscreen, and I'm like not a big sunscreen advocate. Yeah. Obviously, I'm not a doctor, so don't take my advice. You should talk to your healthcare provider or do your own research before you choose to do anything differently. Disclaimer. But there was an article that came out in January, and everybody was reposting it, and I was like, duh? Like, I don't know, but it said that the chemicals in sunscreens are circulating, or like they get absorbed into your bloodstream and circulate for like 30 days or something crazy. And it was like, like you're putting that on your skin. I mean, you're putting it on in your face, your makeup every day.
We apply multiple sunscreen multiple times,
every hour or whatever it is. Yeah.
So if you do have to, because I would think there are times when sunscreen is appropriate. Are there certain types of sunscreens you recommend that are cleaner or safer than some of the ones on the market?
Yeah, so there's a couple of different types of sunscreen. The one that if we are out on a boat, there is no shade, and we know that we're going to be out, we will use like Badger sunscreen. It's a mineral base. There are lots of mineral base. You can get sprays, you can get lotions, sticks. But the difference between like a mineral, it has like, I think a base of zinc oxide, and it reflects the sun's rays instead of absorbing them, which another one might. But one of the reasons why I really don't agree with regular sunscreen use, I'm trying to make my words very is that our body needs the sun. Yeah. Like we really do thrive on the sun. What vitamin do we get
from the sun?
D. And to go there, I remember, I can't even remember where, and I probably should have researched this a little bit more, but I remember hearing years ago something in, some article, some research, whatever, that said, if you think about it, we are essentially, we're like plants. Like we need food, we need water, water. We need water, and we need all these things, and we need the sun to survive, to live. So, they say, take sunscreen and put it on a plant.
Yeah.
It won't survive.
Yeah.
So and especially like if every time you go outside, you are putting sunscreen on just so you're not getting any sun at all. It's like, well, there's one thing, there's.
And
I'm not a doctor, but I feel like that is going to cause problems there,
Well, and especially in our area where we don't get, like, we have a lot of gloom, we don't get a lot of sun. And so if people are covering up, I mean, our vitamin D levels are chronically low in this area, which causes, like linked to depression and a lower immune system and Alzheimer's disease. Like there's so many, and mood swings, like there's so many things that vitamin D is good for. But when you see the sun, especially like light, early morning sun, where the rays are a little bit more diverse than like harsh, like afternoon sun, your body, kind of absorbs the UVB, like the ultraviolet B rays, and it interacts with a protein in your skin, which then converts it into vitamin D, which your body then stores. And a lot of people are like, well, I take pills, I don't want to age, like I'll take vitamin D pills. Well, that's really hard to absorb. Like I think you can do that. I think it's good. Like we take vitamin D during the winter time. But your body does store it. So if you can take the warmer months to kind of slowly store your body of good,
like
natural free vitamin D.
Like a bear.
Oh, yeah.
Hibernating.
Put it on the mouth and store through the winter.
It's like that.
We need to store vitamin D for the winter.
And I'm a big personal experience person, and especially with going through, when I first started with clean eating, reading about people, beating cancer and beating all these illnesses and reversing all, diabetes or whatever, like all these things because they changed their diet. And I really believe that can happen. So with that being said, there's an acquaintance I know who had gotten diagnosed with breast cancer, and she went the natural route of her therapy. And one of the things that her doctor recommended was go outside, lay naked. She lives on a farm way down somewhere. And so, lay naked and get as much sun and let your body absorb the sun. And you know what? That wasn't the only thing that he suggested, but she did it. And she is in remission doing this natural thing with, she, is in remission of breast cancer. I'm like, stuff like that just goes to show that, like, we need to consider some of this stuff, and not definitely. Just because these companies are marketing and pushing every single second of the day, that doesn't mean we should do it. We got to use some common sense here.
And I think that's what I was talking about, your skin being a red flag, is that you can watch your skin, you can pop into the shade, look and see if you're getting red. Once you start getting red, your body's like, okay, I've had enough. This is enough, and then it kind of starts to create, your like pigment to protect yourself. But it's something that we kind of need to start doing with our kids from a very early age to kind of get that regular building up of tolerance, in my opinion. So that's something I did with Ari. Like, he didn't have sunscreen on his body until he was almost 2 years old because, like, we used, if we were out for a prolonged time, we had shade, or he had a big hat, or he had the, protective, long sleeves, or, even just like cotton, just something else. And he's never had a sunburn. And so now I can see, as soon as it starts getting warmer outside, where he can kind of take off his shirt, I'm like, let's go outside. Like, there's no mosquitoes yet. So like strip down and we're going out there. But when you put on sunscreen, what it does is it essentially blocks that UVB, but allows the other harsh UV rays to come into your skin. But the same UV rays that will give you vitamin D, help you produce vitamin D, also make your skin red. So then if the sunscreen you're using is not protecting you from all of the full spectrum of rays, you're getting that terrible radiation that might be, that cancer causing or, really harmful skin, but your skin is not able to tell you, hey, like, I'm done, because you've turned off that receptor. So for me, it's a lot easier to watch my skin, learn my, build up my tolerance early spring, work my way through. And then if it's too much, then I go inside, or I put on a shawl, or I put on a big hat. Like, I really don't think, I think you can find easy ways where you're not buying a ton of sunscreen and lathering up. But of course, if you're out on a surfboard all day, like, there are times that you need protection. And I think it's important to get the proper mineral base, whatever works for you.
Because I know for me personally, I know with my kids, if we're just outside at home, I don't put sunscreen on. If I know they're going to be out for a while in straight sun, I may put coconut oil on, and that doesn't out. Granted, I know that my kid's skin is a lot different than everybody's skin is different. So, however, I know your kid's skin is way more
Irish,
fair.
very fair skin, husband and children.
Yeah.
So, but if we're out in the morning, I won't usually put sun. But those peak hours between 10 and 2, my husband and I are like, if we're out in the sun, they do need sunscreen because their skin will turn red in 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So,
but you're choosing good sunscreen that isn't
so we have mineral base and clean sunscreen. Because we just know, you got to learn your own skin and know your family's skin and what it can tolerate. I can tolerate a little bit more than my husband or my kids, but still, my husband does yell at me sometimes because I do want to get a little more sun. But I think even Rachel, you help me. Sometimes you're like, you're getting a little red. I'm like, okay, and then I put sunscreen on, So. But yeah, those peak hours I think is key, and just knowing your skin because, like you said, everybody's different.
Yeah, definitely. So I think when we can, I want to give you guys a couple different things to look at, or just to kind of go through what we talked about here for today. What products, if I'm going to use products, what products can I use? I always will go to edible skincare. It sounds really weird.
Can you what is that?
Let's explain edibles.
Is that your
skincare? Yeah.
I'm like,
what is edible
because
skincare?
when I think of that, I'm thinking of never mind.
Are you putting mud on your face?
I don't know.
That's what I think.
Maybe. So
which mud is good, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, this started when I was pregnant, and I'm really intense about health, and I was like, I will not put something on my body that I wouldn't eat, because they found they tested an umbilical cord of a newborn and found that there was right below 300 different chemicals stored in the umbilical cord. So it's not just it's things that your body holds on to that it passes through, or things that you're just on the regular consuming. And so if it's not good for, obviously it's not good for a baby, I don't want it to be good, it's not good for me either. So skincare, I use shea butter. Raw shea butter is edible. It's gross, but coconut oil, using olive oil, so many of our foods that we use, you could go through my kitchen right now and find so many things. Avocado oil. Did I say coconut oil?
I used to use avocado oil as my moisturizer at night. Before I got your rosehip oil, I was using avocado oil.
And the rosehip oil is made with avocado oil.
Oh, look at that.
Which will be out this January.
So besides edible stuff, Rachel mentioned your stuff. Jody mentioned your stuff. So Rachel does have her own line of Garden of Eten. We've talked about when we did your first episode, learning a little bit about you. I think Garden of Eten really started with your elderberry syrup, but then you've expanded to more of a skincare line too, which I love because so many times it's I'm looking for skincare, but I want it to be healthy, and I'll check on the EWG, which is a great resource to find out clean cosmetics. But as I'm getting into my 30s, mid 30s, stuff around your eyes. And I started using your herbal salve all over my face. What I like about that is you can put that, it doesn't, I use coconut oil a lot at nighttime, which is kind of greasy, a little bit. Yeah. I want to put makeup on top of just straight coconut oil, but you can put makeup straight on top of this herbal salve because it absorbs into your skin and almost gives it a matte finish, but a nice finish. Yeah. So do you want to talk a little bit about some of your other skincare products?
Yeah, so Garden of Eten, we make all different types of herbal infusions. And I love herbs because they are super balancing. It's nothing very calm, gentle. It's a gentle resource. So I found a couple different ways to preserve some different skincare items with witch hazel, or using beeswax and shea butter, coconut oil, avocado oil, and even apricot kernel oil, and then finding ways to infuse herbs that can help us, which is another way that you can see I have a bruise blend, and I use like elder leaves and I infuse it, with like helichrysum oil. And so you can see that the bruises go away really fast when you use it, or your dark circles that you have under your eyes, they go away fast.
I use it for that. Yep.
It's so nice. So I just think, having some clean products. I do have a couple like mine are all kind of like healing and calming and toning. But there are a couple other companies that make makeup or like soaps that I really like. I just started using some of the crunchy, like crunchy with an I, like soap bars and makeup. Yeah. Super duper clean. Beauty Counter is really good.
Oh, that's what I use for my makeup.
Yeah, I like Beauty Counter stuff. Intelligent Nutrients is one of my favorite companies. And then like when you're looking at sunscreen, I think there's like, Badger, Garden of something.
Green Goddess?
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, there might be
Goddess
one.
Garden.
Yeah,
I
that,
think that's what it is. Yeah.
That one.
Something green.
Yeah. So, having access to clean ingredients is super important. And if you don't have the money to spend a ton of money, like on really expensive, face masks, use yogurt, use honey, use an avocado, or cut up a cantaloupe and rub it on your face. Like, that's what I do. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think you can be really resourceful in that way. But then also, like we talked about, making sure you're drinking clean water, making sure you're getting rest. Evaluate your stress load and maybe the negative relationships that you have in your life that are causing this continual like beating down of your spirit.
So one question I have is because, I think it's very important. I know I've started delving into the whole like skin detox. I take like my Epsom salt baths, what other detoxing ways, because our skin is storing, all these toxins. So we got to get them out so that these symptoms and everything isn't happening. So what are some ways that we can help our skin that way?
So, I think that when you're looking towards detoxing, you need to make sure that there's like nothing on your skin. Like putting oils or even lotions or anything mineral oils, that's not natural. Don't use that stuff. You need to make sure that your pores are able to release. It is like one of our elimination organs. And so we need to be able to sweat. We need to sweat. We need to make sure that we're moving. We need to make sure we're sweating. And for some people, like for me, I have a gene mutation where it doesn't really allow me to sweat. And so I tend to hold in a lot of toxins. So whenever I do like an internal like detox, or if I drink a little bit too much, oh my gosh, it's like hell because my body can't
get rid of them.
Yeah.
So I think make sure you're kind of moving and sweating, and then also look into dry brushing. Find a natural dry brush, like natural fiber.
I just got one.
Yay!
I love my dry brush.
Yeah, it's so nice. Before you take a shower, you brush your skin while you're dry and the brush is dry, always towards your heart. If you're on your back, like just do it. You don't really need to make sure you're not going to die if you don't do it. But
mine is just like a long handle, so I just
that's good.
I don't really go towards the house. It's just like I'm just gonna scrub it.
Get it. But it does help. It helps like move off dead skin cells, but it helps get your lymphatic system really moving to kind of push things out, which is important. And then also making sure your other elimination zones are also open. Make sure you're drinking enough water, that you're peeing. Make sure that you're hydrated enough and you're eating healthy foods that you're eliminating through your bowels.
Enough fiber. Yeah.
And then, your lymphatic system, you're moving, and then also your lungs. Like your lungs are detoxed. You need to make sure you're taking deep breaths throughout the day with clean air. I'm getting off topic a little bit.
That's
and then
okay.
making sure you are resting.
Yeah.
But I think with that, I mean, your body, everything works together. So I think it's important to address that, we may be getting off topic, but everything works together. And if one thing you're not doing, it could make something not work. It could inhibit your skin from detoxing properly and getting all that out.
Which is what is wrong, I guess, with my like gene mutation is that my liver is compromised. And so then everything kind of tries to take like a little bit harder of a, starts working a little bit harder and things just get off balance. So I really need to manage that. But I think it's good to look at the whole picture always. It's always not just, the stuff, the chemicals that are going on your body or in your body, but, looking at your detergents, making sure, like, are you dry cleaning your stuff? What kind of water are you showering in? Are you swimming in a chlorinated pool often? Like, those are things that you need to really make sure are kind of moving out of your system. And our bodies are meant to do this. We will always come across something that is harmful to our body, but our body is so smart. It will tell us, hey, you're getting too much sun for your system. Oh, hey, like you're dealing with a lot of stress, or, you know, like, let's look, you're having an allergic reaction to something you're eating and it's causing your body a lot of energy, like always popping things up. So,
and I know that there are, you know, a lot of some people who are, you know, just, I guess just maybe don't believe in like the body being able to help itself, you know, and I think it's important to note that, you know, yes, like our bodies are meant for this, but our bodies are so over compromised right now because we are getting toxins from our air, from our food, from our clothes, from our makeup, from everything that it needs support from us, you know. And I think I mean, growing up, I never once thought that, I mean, it just wasn't in my mind that, oh my gosh, like I'm putting lotion and makeup and, you know, the shampoo that's running off of me, you know, and everything. It's like, oh my gosh, there's all that stuff there. You just, you know, when you actually sit back and think about it, we have so many toxins all around us. So like, we just have to be mindful that we have to practice these things, you know, for our own self-care, for, you know, your for your own health.
Yeah. And I think it's about taking, like, I think it can become very overwhelming, which is why we started this podcast to show people like, hey, we all are different and we have our own different levels of health, and we take small steps to get where we want to go. And I think, you know, not becoming overwhelmed with the idea of like, oh my gosh, everything. Pick one thing,
exactly.
You know, pick one thing and start there. Hey, maybe like water seems the most important to me right now. Let's start, you know, getting filtered water, or like, let's get fresh spring water, or whatever it is, whatever that looks like for you and your family.
Please do not get, excuse me, do not, you know, just don't stress out, don't get overwhelmed, because we all took steps. We all took baby steps into, you know, our health. So I know mine was high fructose corn syrup. That was literally the first thing I did, was just get rid of everything like that. And it just built over and over and over. And I am not where I want to be, you know, I'm still on that journey. So wherever your journey starts, take it and just keep going, you know, and just, you know, and it was something, I don't think it was a podcast back then, but it was an article just like this that gave this information like this that really sparked my interest in, oh my gosh, okay, well, I think my food's good. Oh my gosh, I didn't even think about my skin. You know, there's my next thing I want to do is clean up my skin, because that makes so much sense.
Yeah. But then when you kind of conquer that, then you're like, oh no, I'm using like a bleached toilet paper. Maybe I should move to something different. You know,
Well, good. Well, thank you for joining us today. We'll put a link on this podcast for some of the products we talked about today. And I am going to mention too, Rachel makes all of her products in a commercial kitchen. So she is fully licensed and has great products.
Yeah,
so just
her products are amazing. We all have experience in.
I know. If you do something nice for Rachel, she'll be like, here, I brought you something. And I'm like, oh, nice. More products I get to try. So, but anyway, thank you so much, Rachel, for talking about skin. I think this is just kind of scratching the surface of it, but it's great information that I think we can all learn from. So thanks for joining us today, and we will see you next time.
Thanks for listening to Cocktails in the Organic Aisle with Christy, Jody, and Rachel. If you enjoy this podcast, please leave a review, subscribe, and share. You can also continue the conversation on social media at Cocktails in the Organic Aisle. Until next time, see you in the Organic Aisle.